President Trump will travel to the great state of Florida to attend the opening of a new illegal alien detention center located at Dade Collier Training and Transition Airport alongside Secretary Kristi Noem, Governor Ron DeSantis, Congressman Byron Donalds, and other state and local leaders. We hope to see many of you there. The facility is in the heart of the Everglades and will be informally known as Alligator Alcatraz. There is only one road leading in, and the only way out is a one-way flight. It is isolated and surrounded by dangerous wildlife and unforgiving terrain. The facility will have up to 5,000 beds to house, process, and deport criminal illegal aliens. This is an efficient and low-cost way to help carry out the largest mass deportation campaign in American history.
We've been under this Trump administration for less than a year, but already Trump has been successful in somehow both fulfilling many of his actual campaign promises like tariffs and DOGE and ICE, etc., while also sort of inexplicably deceiving the very people who voted for him. But the Trump administration promised above all else transparency from the government to the people. They are decidedly not delivering on that front. In fact, in Florida, it seems that the government has been hiding or destroying records that it does not want the public to ever see. And no, I'm not talking about the Epstein files. Alligator Alcatraz, as it has been called, is the ICE detention facility / concentration camp in the middle of a swamp in Florida, and it has come under its fair share of fire since even before its opening due to the general inhumanity of it all. Once it was opened, that inhumanity was on full display, and the facility was reported to be subjecting its captives to horrific treatment. Then late last month, we found out that hundreds of detainees at the immigration jail were just missing. There were no records or paperwork of what had happened to them, where they went, where they could possibly be. There were no phone calls that were made to families, nothing.
Hundreds of people who were once detained at the troubled immigration jail in the Florida Everglades, dubbed Alligator Alcatraz, have disappeared. The Miami Herald reports about 2/3 of the 1,800 immigrants who were held there in July have gone missing from ICE's online database, with their families unable to locate them. Earlier this month, a federal appeals court ruled the jail could continue to operate despite reports of abuse. Trump welcomed the news.
I think Florida's done a great job by building it, and whether it's Alligator Alcatraz or anything else you want to call it.
But the most ardent MAGA supporters didn't see anything wrong with any of this. They still supported the actions of the Trump regime because Trump is just keeping his promise. He promised to get the immigrants out of here, and that is exactly what he's doing. Of course, that's not what he promised. He promised to get gang members and terrorists out of here, but instead his ICE thugs have been just abducting brown people off of the streets without verifying if they were actually here illegally, let alone verifying that they had any kind of history with violent criminal or terroristic behavior. Once these people were kidnapped, they weren't offered any kind of due process, their families were not alerted of their status, and it wasn't clear where they were being taken. There was reporting that came out that once they were in Alligator Alcatraz, there was some sort of vetting or sorting process that they underwent. They were given color-coded uniforms and wristbands depending on whether or not they had a criminal history, which technically should have been everyone in there, and whether or not they were considered a flight risk. But due to the indiscriminate manner in which these detainees were detained in the first place, you can't be surprised that ICE, which is run by only the very finest among us, is less than organized. They were picking up and even deporting American citizens. Part of this whole debacle, though, is that MAGA has been actively redefining what it means to even be an American, what it means to be here legally or illegally. If they no longer recognize things like birthright citizenship, if they no longer care whether or not someone did immigrate here through legal channels, when does it all end? How many generations ago would your family have had to have been here before you count as a real American who can never and will never be deported to just somewhere else? Would Donald Trump even be considered a real American? If first-gen Americans no longer count as American enough, the answer is no, he would not. So the administration has come under fire for detaining and deporting non-criminal citizens, and once that happened, an apparent cover-up was revealed. In Florida, they recently launched an online dashboard that tracked ICE arrests. However, on October 14th, the dashboard showed that 21 U.S. citizens had been arrested and charged since August 1st. The dashboard reportedly counted another 9 U.S. citizens who had encounters with law enforcement but were not arrested. Yet the New York Times reports that when it inquired why U.S. citizens were being arrested in the immigration sweeps, the numbers suddenly changed. So now, if you click on the dashboard's demographics tab, you can see that only 2 citizens had been arrested and charged. Similarly to what the New York Times was seeing, the Tampa Bay Times had also previously noticed that at least 24 incidents featured citizens. So what happened there? Well, the Florida State Board of Immigration Enforcement, Governor DeSantis, and the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, they all declined to speak with the New York Times or otherwise explain what might have happened to the records. So here is what Tessa Pettit, the executive director of the immigration advocacy organization Florida Immigrant Coalition, had to say. This incident raises fundamental questions about both the accuracy of Florida's immigration enforcement data and the due process rights of everyone who resides in our state. If U.S. citizens can be arrested under these operations is alarming enough, but the fact that the information is then deleted from public view is even more worrisome. Facts are being hidden from Floridians, and we deserve to know why. I mean, that seems obvious enough from everything we've not only heard, but seen for ourselves of the way that ICE operates. They're anxious and desperate also to recruit more and more individuals because they need a force, and they're seeking out people who don't have any kind of relevant education, no relevant experience in law enforcement or any related fields, nothing. They will just have to be willing to kidnap and harass their neighbors. They just have to be the literal worst people in this country. But that's what Trump and whoever is going to succeed him are looking for. They want fighters who will fight for them, not for the country, not for the Constitution, but for them. They want soldiers who will follow the worst kind of orders without question, even with pleasure. The military can't be relied upon to do any of that. The military is sworn to the Constitution and to the American people. We're already seeing high-ranking members of our military resign over what is being asked of them by this administration. And by the way, these are supposed to be nonpartisan positions too. They don't come and go whenever a new party comes into power. But when this new president is now asking its military to essentially commit war crimes, like what we're currently seeing in Venezuela, then you can't blame them for opting out. All right, that's it for me. If you got anything out of this, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more. Thanks. Hey, it's Yasmin Aaliyah Khan. Thank you so much for watching. If you're into what we're doing here, please hit that like button. It really helps. And if you want to see more videos like this one, don't forget to subscribe to Rebel HQ and hit that bell so that you never miss an upload. I've also got a playlist with all of my videos, so feel free to dive in and catch up there. And if you're over like the corporate spin and just want real people-powered news, hit that join button and be part of the movement. We couldn't do it without your support. Seriously, thank you so much. Stay informed, stay engaged, and I will see you in the next one.